All right. I'm going to continue on a topic today. We started yesterday about culture, and the title for my talk is The Appreciation of Culture, or Culture Appreciation. And I'd like to look at two cultures, two meditation cultures, because both come from Buddhist teachings. And I just got back from a retreat in New Mexico, which is a little bit beyond Taos, and the landscape is the high desert, and it was just gorgeous. Um, and I went with two of my Generation X Dharma teacher colleagues, and one was from the Tibetan tradition, and one was from the Vipassana tradition. And we agreed on many of the teachings and the values of practice, but we differed on quite a lot of them too. And I was realizing as I came back that it's just much easier for me to know other cultures through friendships and through curiosity. And this is a way that I can enter, and it really helps appease any ill will or fear that I might feel about the differences. So I like to think of entering cultures with friends, and that gives you a whole different perspective. And that's really my perspective in this talk this morning. So I'm going to show a picture. I'm going to share my screen. And this is the stupa, which is a Tibetan tradition, an ancient Indian tradition, actually, of building stupas and doing their practices within these elaborate, what I would consider an elaborate designed temple. And as you can see, and maybe you can't see, I hope you can see, this is the best job I can do on the picture, but there's the Buddha is in the center. He's surrounded by ornate gemstones. The deer park where the Buddha was liberated is considered is part of the decoration. And inside this stupa, there are elaborate paintings of deities and beings that actually help you practice. And I'm going to just add to that ornate structure of the stupa is the sky in the background. And the sky is almost always depicted in Buddhist, Tibetan Buddhist learnings. So just give you a moment to feast your eyes on that. Maybe I'll say a little bit more while I have the picture up. Part of what I'm learning from Tibetan Buddhism, and I say this, in a sense cautionary because I don't practice it, so I'm an outsider in that tradition. But what I see is that they have sophisticated and elaborate practices that are really aimed towards getting you beyond culture, aimed towards getting you beyond your experience to something that's what they call non-dual or not separated. And the idea with these practices is to have your concepts and conditions drop away and be in a state where they are not affecting your experience. Now, this is not an uncommon practice in Buddhism. It's also found in Zen Buddhism. It's also found in Vipassana, just with different terms. And in my kind of assessment, it is looking at something that's very complex to realize something very simple. So it's that's the trajectory of the practice.
Linda, I'm sorry, somehow I muted you. My apologies.
Okay. Was it just recently, Susie?
Yeah, just a minute, just a second.
Okay, great. So looking at kind of the practice, I kind of like to bring in the direction of our practice because there are some differences. And I'm going to share the screen again. Let's see how I do that. Okay, 1 second. I will share in a moment. Um, with the reflective meditation, you may not have noticed that we have a new logo up on our screen share. So I'm going to bring that up as a representation of our culture. So one of the things that we've done with reflective meditation is we tried to put something into an image, just like that stupa is an image of the Tibetan practice, an image of the reflective meditation practice. And this was a bumpy road to do. It wasn't easy. We finally landed on this, one, because we needed something pretty quickly. But also, we started to pull together some of the ideas that we have from the practice and from the community that would try to exemplify what we're doing, our culture. So we're looking at a circle around a tree of life that we're really inviting people to go into your life, to hold the tree of life, to hold all the elements in it, and build a safe container where you can know the conditions of your life more fully. And that wisdom comes from knowing all the disparate parts, all the parts that are, that seem to fit but don't fit. And that there may be times when conditions and concepts drop away, that might be part of our direction, but it's not the highest aim of the reflective meditation practice. And we are looking at this as being a pretty modern day image. This is something that we would recognize or see in our life. Birds, trees, a moonset or a sunset that would represent reflection. Could be a horizon, or it could be the ocean. And one of the things we did was we brought in the birds as meditators, like you're on your perch in the tree, and that you're different color, different size, different postures. And we're really trying to portray inclusivity and diversity, and that is a value of ours that we'd like to have it be known and remind us through this image. And I would say one of the differences is I just came to this morning, is that we really are looking at many truths, and the truths being small t, that we're acknowledging many truths, a variety of truths, and that really each of us put our experience into a hierarchy. We have our own hierarchies, and we're trying to understand how we've constructed them, what they are, getting to know those better, and that those hierarchies come from our culture, from where we were born and raised, what we know, who we interact with. And that understanding how our experience is constructed is really the development of wisdom in this practice. Stopping the share. So the teaching of non-duality, or sometimes it's called the two truths, the conventional truth and the ultimate truth, and the many truths is where I'll put us. That's how we kind of get onto the table of that. I'm going to go into those teachings a little bit more in depth. Nelly will be traveling, not this weekend, next weekend. So I'll be able to talk on Sunday and Monday and go into those teachings a little bit more, because they are really voluminous. Yeah, that's a word. There's volumes written on this, and they're very much ensconced in the Buddhist theory and tradition. And when you encounter them, you might really wonder, where does our practice fit in some of this? How do I look at the reflective meditation practice when I'm talking to somebody that might refer to an ultimate reality or to the unconditioned, and trying to get beyond my experience? How do we talk about it in this practice? And then how do you talk about it from your own experience? Because yours will be different than mine too. Part of, I would say, a strong direction that we have is to integrate this material, to actually learn and integrate some of these teachings in our own experience in the ways that resonate for us. Okay, I think I'll end there. I had so many more pictures, but Bill is the photographer of the group. I'm not. I'm teasing. That's kind of how we take on identities. I will share some more of my pictures, but they were just so beautiful and beyond words. So there I am, even beyond concepts at times. It's hard to explain some of the feelings you get from our practices and images of practice. Okay,